Town Bank Mortgage, NMLS number 512138, is an equal housing lender. This podcast is for informational purposes only. And now, the man born with a 5 o'clock shadow and with the NMLS number 2028-201. He is a gentleman. He is a scholar. He is
Tyler Cralle.
All right, welcome everyone to the latest edition of the Cape Fear Report. I, of course, am Tyler Cralle, loan officer at Town Bank Mortgage, and I apologize for my absence. I got something really nasty, and I lost my voice and couldn't do one. So we are back, and we're kicking things off here. Joining me here in studio, friend of mine, I've known him for a while, Marshall Pickett, of course, with Christie's International Real Estate, and a app developer, which we are going to be talking about. But first off, Marshall, thanks for being here, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
So normally the question I have is, how'd you get started in real estate? But I wanted to start with you, is that I have known you for a while. But you've actually known my dad for longer because you guys used to play golf together. And I think that's like a funny story because people, because you're probably 10 years younger than me.
Yeah, 38 now.
Yeah. So I mean, you're about 7 years younger than me. And you know my dad actually longer because you were like a golf phenom back in the day.
So I think when I was 9 or 10, started playing golf with your dad. And I don't think I met you till you were like 16, 17, maybe even in college.
Yeah, I was in college.
Yeah,
I was in college.
That's what, probably 5-6 years later.
Yeah. So I always think that's funny because people are like, Marshall? I'm like, yeah, but my dad's actually known him longer.
Yeah.
So, but Marshall, tell us, because like I said, you've been here for a while. You've been in Wilmington. So tell us how you got started in real estate.
Well, obviously the golf that we talked about didn't work out. So
that's right. You did go pro.
Yeah. So I went pro, played mini tour golf, failed at it. But, honestly, you learn from failures. So
that's true.
It's actually helped me a lot in the real estate industry. I wasn't successful at golf, and I honestly didn't know what to do when I quit golf. I went about a year. I was kind of doing odd things here and there. And my family had kind of been in real estate in the past, and I'd kind of been around it. So really just said I'd give it a shot. Went into real estate in 2015 and was not very successful. The first 9 months, I was awful.
Did you start with Christie's or?
I started at Intracoastal.
Okay, gotcha.
So I started there. I was under Cralle Lewis and Debbie Mitchell.
Okay.
And I think I did one sale. And I was broke. I remember it was in March of 2016, and I had literally no money. I think I was going to pay my rent the next month. And
all been there.
Yeah. So this couple came in on a bike in an open house, and they went and bought a D.R. Horton home, and it was 3% commission plus a 2% bonus, and I started talking to the on-site agent, figured out how much money he was making, went straight to management, and interviewed for a job and got hired by D.R. Horton.
Oh, wow.
Wasn't very good at that for 6 months and became Rookie of the Year in North America for new home sales after that, and top D.R. Horton sales agent for a couple years in a row there. And the rest is kind of history. I learned how to sell. I'm a numbers guy, so leaned into that hard. I pitched the pocketbook when I was a salesman. And ever since then, I've really been more of an analytical type of sales agent, real estate agent, which has flourished and helped me be successful at new home sales, general brokerage, and luxury real estate.
Yeah, I mean, and so how long were you with D.R. Horton?
5 years, so it was 2016 all the way up to 2020.
Gotcha. So then is that when you then went to Christie's?
No, so then I went to Keller Williams,
okay.
Coldwell Banker, back to Keller Williams, then to Christie's.
Gotcha.
Bounced around after that. I had a build for rent development in early 2020. That's why I quit D.R. Horton, was to go chase a $100 million build for rent development out in Navassa. Wow. It was 472 homes. Ryan Homes has since bought that project from us, and we've actually sold them another parcel of land as well. But I had investors lined up. Quit D.R. Horton in February of 2020, and you know what happened in March of 2020. So, we had to step back and punt. So I went to Keller basically to start that build for rent business, and then when I realized I actually had to go into general brokerage because I did not want to go back to new home sales, I kind of fumbled around, bounced around firms, was successful, paid for Zillow leads. That got me through several years in real estate, and I was extremely successful at that.
So, I mean, did you decide to do kind of luxury real estate when you were doing, is that kind of what your goal was, or did you just sort of realize that was?
No, I think it's going to flow into this a little bit more. My perspective of real estate is over the next probably 5 years, things are going to advance fast.
Yeah.
As AI is making people's jobs more efficient, people are going to be able to handle more transactions, likely going to make maybe less money per transaction, but handle more, right? So the top agents will still be successful, but I went into the luxury space because that's more hands-on. That's more, person to person, less about volume, more about the hands-on transaction. So that was my strategic shift. 2022 was when I did that. Still did Zillow leads, right? You don't just stop one thing and then go straight into another. But I really kind of grasped that as best I could. I got a Zillow lead in landfall, actually, and that's how my career in luxury got started. Was I took a Zillow lead and got a listing through a party. A couple months later, got a $3.7 million listing through another event, and it's just kind of like flourished from there. So I give everything I have for what I made through Zillow, which is technology, right?
Yeah.
But I do think that over time, technology is going to make the sub $800,000 market more of a compact market, right? There's going to be more arguments over that. There's going to be more fighting for business.
Yeah.
And it's going to be easier to sell homes and buy homes at that price point.
Well, it's funny because there's like a love-hate relationship with Zillow for a lot of people in real estate. And so, I mean, you've clearly, you seem to have benefited from using them.
Yeah, back then my cost per lead, which Zillow hates to categorize it like this because they're like, oh, well, you're spending $15,000 a month. Look at it as how many future leads you're going to get, which future business is going to be. My cost back then when I was spending about $15,000 was like $300 a lead. When I quit doing Zillow leads, which was about 2 years ago, the cost per lead got close to $900 a lead. If you're doing math, which I'm more math analytical, it takes about 10 leads, 5 to 10 leads to convert, right? Yeah. So if I'm spending $5,000, average price point's $400,000. So I'm making 10, spending 5, paying commission splits with the firm. You're making $2,500. It just, the numbers didn't quite work out. And you look at every lead platform and you look at everything the agents are spending money on, it compounds. It just, people don't think about what agents are spending, but they're spending thousands and thousands of dollars for the one customer that they obtain.
Yeah, I mean, it is pretty amazing because, you do have all these new options and, there is this sort of debate about, how good the leads are. And then, what was crazy about Zillow was, you had Zillow, which was amazing at this one side of the business. Right. And then they started this home buying side, which turned out to be a complete disaster, which almost like bankrupted the company. And I think it was like sort of a good sort of idea of, this is something that all businesses have a problem with, which they're good at something and then they get almost sort of complacent and kind of bored maybe and say, let's try something else.
Correct.
And then instead of just realizing you can just keep making a ton of money doing that one thing.
Correct. Exactly. And Zillow has a couple other avenues now. They make money on referrals from agents, right? They team up with them.
And they got a lending side now, unfortunately.
Yeah, and they all tend to kind of branch into those different categories. But, the weird thing is as AI is advancing, business models are having to change, right? Because the cost to operate something under AI is currently far less than what it costs to build platforms out, right? You need less engineers, it's less cost, therefore you can pass that off to the consumer at less pricing.
Yeah.
So these large mega companies, they're doing what's called acqui-hires a lot, right? Where they're coming in and they're buying out these smaller companies that have developed something really cool for really cheap. One part, so they don't have to worry about that competition.
Yeah.
And two, they can help incorporate that into their business a lot quicker and a lot faster.
Yeah, I mean, real estate's really interesting too because, you see all these acquisitions that are happening and, it's always this sort of battle because there's nothing that's more hyper-local than real estate. And so you don't want to be too big that you're losing that local aspect, but at the same time, the bigger you get, the more you scale, the more efficient you can become. And so it's sort of that, you got to make sure you balance that.
Yeah. And I look at AI as, you had a vehicle back in 1990, right? Like the gas engine, and you put it in a car, drive.
Yeah.
People invented windshield wipers, and that was the patent that the guy made millions of dollars on for 100 years. I look at this year, really, in particular, of a whole new version of a car has been created that everyone's going to drive for the next 100 years. And that technology stack of what kind of engine is it, what kind of windshield wiper, what kind of side view mirror, rear view mirror, what kind of, mechanical seat engine are you putting in that? That's the world we're in now. and everything's ever changing. So over the next 2 years, what our landscape is today, it's going to be a totally different vehicle in 2 years from now.
Well, and so let's kind of get into one of the reasons I wanted to have you on is because you have developed a app.
Yeah.
Which it was kind of interesting because I remember, I think it was like probably 10, 15 years ago with the iPhone. All of a sudden, apps became really big.
Right.
And then it was kind of like the .com where you had all these websites and a lot of people made kind of dumb websites and you had a lot of dumb apps. And then all of a sudden, app became almost like a pejorative or it was almost like a bad thing.
Yeah.
And now we're kind of back to the point where with AI, and you are seeing sort of the democratization of coding where regular people can now go to these AI websites and
develop something. Yeah. So we're technically not an app right now.
Okay.
We are a website because apps are annoying.
Yeah. You got to download them.
Apps are going to get picked up once you have the consumer, right? Yeah. So we did a front-facing website, easy to find us. You can go to picketai.com. You can sign up. You can have everything in one place. Down the road, we will eventually go into an app, but that's going to be used more likely for real estate agents. Consumers aren't going to do that, right? So it's just you got to have a plan to eventually move to that for the people that are actually using your site. But the general public and the masses aren't going to use an app. And I think it might stay that way for a long time. And if you look at this year with Claude AI and all of these different platform developers, you're going to have a lot of junk developed over the next 6 months. The app stores might as well go ahead and increase their bandwidth because that's coming down the road too.
Well, yeah, I mean, they probably should put some sort of requirement in order to put an app in there because it is becoming so accessible.
Correct.
That a lot of people are going to do that. So let's talk about this. So your app is called Picket, right?
Yeah. Pikit.
Pikit. Yeah. So
play on words.
Yeah, play on words there. And so what is the app? I mean, or what is this website? What are you trying to do with it?
So the company, there's a lot of different angles that we can go with the company, and we have to keep it simple for the consumer. But really, we are going to become the smartest website for people to find real estate agents, whether it's selling a home or buying a home. And we are creating a 100% free ecosystem for real estate agents themselves to come claim their profile, which is already in our system in southeastern North Carolina, upload their bio, upload the language that they prefer to speak and a couple of other questions. And then we are an open source through our site where we will now put that information back out on the internet. So we will handle all of the Google SEO marketing. We will handle all of the back-end marketing for Picket. But when somebody goes on ChatGPT or Gemini or Perplexity, our goal is to ultimately become the most reliable source network, which is what AI absolutely loves, to find that agent properly. Go online and you can type in coastal real estate agent that loves to play golf in southeastern North Carolina that sells luxury real estate. Hopefully that'll be me eventually one day, right? Well, if I build out Picket, it won't be
your app.
Yeah, I probably won't be on there.
You can be the answer to all the questions.
Correct. So, but at the end of the day, we have verified sales from every agent in southeastern North Carolina. So we are going to be the most trusted network to find the right agent for you. You can search whether you want an agent that sells less than 10 homes, 10 to 30 homes, or 30 plus homes. So there is no better agent, right? One category or the other. It's what's going to suit the consumer's needs. So consumers can still come to the site. They can search our AI platform. They can search for the agent that way as well. But the main premise is we're creating a large ecosystem for real estate agents to come to, claim their profile. That's it. They don't have to do anything else. It costs them $0.
So really what it is, it's a way for the consumer to find an agent that they're looking for.
Correct.
Well, right now, I guess most people are either they know someone or they're going to Google or ChatGPT.
They'll go to Google, they'll go to Zillow, they'll go to a bunch of different places, right? And in order for an agent to get in front of that consumer, they're gonna have to spend a lot of money. And a lot of agents don't, one, have the money, or two, don't know how to do it, right? So we're not going to be the only platform. People are still going to go to Zillow to search for agents. They're still going to go to Realtor.com. They're still going to go in other places. But predominantly, a lot of people are going to start going to AI to search for agents. And you can't buy ad space in those AI platforms. So those platforms default back. And usually they go to Google or online sites, right? And then they search to that. And what they need is the most reliable and accurate data. That's what we're producing. So we will essentially be the best source for AI to search for agents based off what people are looking for in all of the different platforms.
So are you looking to keep this kind of local? I mean, for now?
No, national. So we're definitely launching here. May 1st is the goal. And then we're likely going to go right across North Carolina immediately after that.
Okay.
First 30 days, maybe soft launch here, and then go right across the state as quick as possible. Because like I said, it's getting agents into the ecosystem. Yeah. That's really all we need to do. And then from there, it's just a matter of scaling the business from there.
So this is obviously for consumers for the
both.
Most part. Okay.
Yeah, it's for both. So the agent gets the benefit of consumers can find me.
Yeah.
And then the consumers, some don't even know the benefit, right? They're on ChatGPT and it connects to that agent, or they come to my site and they want to get exact verified data. So it is a both-sided system there.
Now, I've seen you post about sort of properties being on there as well. And so how does that play? I mean, is that sort of like a Zillow thing, or is that just going to be for the agents that are on the app, or how does that
That's
play?
where the complexity of everything comes into play. And I do want to state, too, the buyers that come to the site, right, and they search for an agent, we're not a referral-based nothing. There is no money that we're making off the buyer and the consumer. Straight to the agent. They deal with each other. The home side that you've been seeing me talk about online, that is predominantly right now on the new home side and apartment complex side. What people do is they come into a model home, they scan a QR code, immediately an audio map comes up and it shows them the top destinations around them. In new construction, the one thing I've always known, and I always would tell people when they come to the model, let's look at this screen, I'm going to tell you where you are. People are looking at 5 homes all around the county. They don't know what pizza place is next door, what park is next door. They have no idea. So you get them engaged with the product. From there, some homes aren't built, some homes are, right? So we actually have all of the exact selections for every home in a neighborhood. You have the app, or you have the website on your phone. Go into a home in framing, you're standing in the living room, what's it going to look like? Pull your phone up, and there it is. You can rank the home, the lot, the price, and the location. Right, so it allows the consumer then to engage with the product. At the end of the model home tour, at all of the homes they've looked at, the agent can see the rankings of all of the homes they looked at in the neighborhood, and it helps them make a decision quicker. People that didn't buy, it helps the sales managers see what floor plans aren't selling, what floor plans are selling, and helps them optimize their future homes on the ground. So we are an intelligence platform, right? That is the premise of the entire company. We're an analytics intelligent company, and we help builders and apartment developers optimize floor plans and put better product on the ground in the future and sell and lease faster.
So, I mean, apartments, there's a rental component too.
The rental component is essentially the same thing as the apartments, right? You come to the apartment complex, it shows you exactly what's around you. When you go to an apartment complex, you got 4 floors, you know, what's available on each floor. We help categorize that, right? We have a map that can see which one's available, which one's coming soon, what unit might have LVP, what might have carpet. Everything's categorized differently. What faces one way, what faces another. So when they go back to their house and they're looking on their phone through this site, they can see which apartment they actually want to lease, and they could lease it right there.
So is your goal to sort of also, so you mentioned new homes, apartments, is your goal to also have existing listings?
Long term, yes, right? So obviously if I'm offering everything for free, at some point in time, where there's going to be a monetization aspect to the company. We have an e-commerce platform which is embedded in that for the new home site. They can buy product through the site, and then after closing, all of the product they buy stays in one place. All the receipts are held, reminds them to change their air filters and all of that. But for the real estate agent side, you could have an open house QR code, for example. We already have MLS data that home would dump in there. Somebody could come to an open house, and they can rank the home while they're in the home. Helps the agent there that's maybe trying to pick up a lead, maybe trying to sell that home, whatever they're doing in that open house. It helps engage with that consumer quicker, easier, and more efficiently. So yes, absolutely, down the road that will be implemented. But right now, that's going to stay on the new home and apartment side.
So, I mean, what's interesting is a lot of what this app is going to do. People would say, oh, well, Zillow has rental listings and agents and home listings. Correct. And so what is it that you're hoping to accomplish with this that's going to be different than what already exists out there in the marketplace?
So we are not Zillow. We're not homes.com. We're not realtor.com. They can be the front-facing company all they want. We're that behind-the-door analytics company we are the spot from when you're ready to go look for a home and you want to take it seriously, you're coming through Picket. When you're searching for your agent, you're coming through us. Zillow, Realtor.com, and Homes.com, for what I'm working on, is kind of a little bit out of what they would want to do, right? If I'm a free network to help find agents, Zillow is not going to do that. They're charging agents for leads.
Yeah.
Zillow doesn't have a platform like for agents, for example, that have the free platform right now. They can come into a toolkit that we have and they can purchase items, right? They can purchase follow up with your consumer after closing. We have the e-commerce site where they can set it on a drip, and every quarter we mail them something and they pay a fee for that. Or the agent finance section where they can go to lunch and take a picture of a receipt, email it to themselves through a unique email we give them, and it categorizes all of their expenses, right? So little things like that. Zillow's not going down that rabbit hole. Realtor.com's not. Homes.com's not. I'm more of a niche category, more trying to make the real estate agent's job easier. And I know real estate agents very well. They don't like platforms that have a lot of stuff on it.
Yeah.
And they don't like to do these things because there's 100 platforms out there. So I have to create something that agents are at least willing to come on and upload their bio. 60 seconds of their time. That's it. After that, if they like what I have to offer, they can purchase those out of that.
So does it cost anything for the realtor to use the app?
No. Doesn't cost them nothing. Now, if they want to do the digital listing presentation, right, where they can type an address, take a photo, it takes 5 minutes to create, they're going to have to pay for that. Not in the beginning right now, no.
Yeah.
The agent finance section where they can take pictures of receipts and categorize it and send it to them, there'll be a fee for that, right? I mean, everything's not going to eventually be free, but at the end of the day, that's something of value to them that they will certainly pay for. Maybe 20% of the 100% of the agents on there will use it. Not everybody. That's fine. And I'm not pushing it on them. That's not my goal. My goal is to make the agent's life easier, and when they need me, I'm there.
So are you planning on having everything sort of being proprietary and that it's all, because, I mean, that's one of the problems that, we run into on the lending side. I know agents at the same thing where it's like, you have like 5 apps that you're using that are supposedly the best in their category. And sometimes you can communicate well, sometimes you can't. And so are you hoping to have everything be, under Picket, or is there going to be like a way to like connect to other apps that maybe they're already using with their company?
So it's all, right now it's currently all flowing under Picket. If you want to connect to CRM, look, we don't care. We've got a basic CRM on there, but that's for people that just don't want to pay for a CRM, that's there, right? But yeah, we'll absolutely allow people to connect to their CRM. We're not trying to take data from them on that sense. We're not really in that side of the business. We're there to be the ecosystem and the number one spot for real estate agents to know that we're out there trying to help them get leads and they don't have to pay anything for it.
Now, obviously we talked about, homes being listed on here, and there's this huge battle that's happening right now between Zillow and Redfin and like Compass and like, I mean, it's pretty fascinating because everyone outside of real estate probably doesn't know what's going on.
Right.
But I mean, it's this real big fight that's that's going on, and you obviously had the big NAR lawsuit with regards to how listings are done, and so do you think that's going to kind of play to maybe your favor because it does seem like everyone right now is kind of being forced to pick sides?
Well, so yes, so the biggest challenge in the reason why most prop tech companies, like there hasn't been $100 billion real estate company out there yet.
Yeah.
There's been $100 billion every other sector but real estate. I genuinely think it's one, either prop tech companies are trying to eliminate realtors or they're trying to help realtors out too much. There's really nobody in between that's saying, hey, we're not going to eliminate real estate agents. I can't help somebody that doesn't want to work with a real estate agent. They're never going to want to. And agents are never going to use 90% of the stuff that you offer them anyway.
Yeah.
So trying to find the middle road. I'm not a $100 billion company. And if we get down that road, we're doing a whole lot more than what I'm creating here. Obviously you could expand into that, but like you said, Zillow tries to go down different categories and they implode when they do that and they have to take a loss. But at the end of the day, yes, I do think it's helpful in a sense for us, but I don't, if the NAR lawsuit had never happened, it wouldn't have changed anything about what I'm doing.
Well, I mean, it's interesting because you mentioned sort of helping people what AI is going to end up doing is what all technology does, is it makes people who are already good at their job better.
Correct.
And it gets rid of a lot of the people who aren't good at the job, who are hanging on because that's just the way it is. Right. And I mean, that's every technological advancement has done that.
Correct.
And everyone right now is freaking out about AI.
Yeah.
But I think to your point, what it is going to do, it's going to take that person who's maybe $50 million producer, take them to $100 million. And then the 10 agents that were doing that other 50 are gone.
and what my platform is going to do, and it's the hardest thing, you go to these real estate meetings and real estate agents don't know how to be shown on these platforms.
Yeah.
They genuinely have no idea. And the reason being is because they got to go to Google, and they got to start advertising here, and they got to advertise here, and they got to spend all of their money and efforts over here to maybe be seen on ChatGPT somewhere, right? So for us, we're there for that ecosystem where they all come in one spot. That's what they do. They dump their information, and then now they can easily be found because we are the search engine that's out there putting everything forward. So that we are the default system for people to search through. If your bio is there and your past sales are there and the area that you sell in is there and all of the top locations, all of the information that's pertinent to purchasing or selling a home is there, we will be the source that these sites end up coming through.
Now, are you, one of the issues that you probably run into that's probably happened with Zillow and some of these others is that they essentially are only rewarding the people that are paying for the higher rent.
And that's why we're free.
And so you don't ever want to find yourself in that situation.
No, we're not here to pump the $100 million a year guy, and we're not here to pump the $2 million a year guy. We're here to say this is what it is. Let the consumer decide. I feel like a big thing, if you come to my site, I've categorized less than 10 homes a year, 10 to 30 homes a year, or 30 more. So when you're searching for an agent on our site, you can pick which one you want. There's no negativity for each category. One is boutique. They're working with just you. Two is maybe a little more in the middle of the operation. They handle the transactions. They know what's going on in the market. They see day to day. And then 30 plus is they're entrenched in the market. They're seeing it minute by minute. You may get a little bit less focus from that agent, but you're getting a little bit more of the day-to-day movements in the market. So everything's created in a positive sense. So now the buyer and the seller are able to pick which category they want from. So now the person spending $15,000 a month for Google SEO marketing could be rendered less useful if we're out there in front of that person and they're coming into our ecosystem to find the right agent.
So I don't want you to give away all your secrets, but so as you mentioned, like we know how people get ranked. Like I see this, ChatGPT, for example, if I type in like who's the best lender, a lot of times what they're going to do is they're going to pull someone's like experience, whoever has the most rankings or the highest 5-star. And so like if someone goes to your website and says they're looking for a realtor, like how is someone going to be higher ranked than someone else?
So, bio is just a factor of it.
Okay.
Language, if somebody needs a certain language spoken, right, that bumps the factor up. You have relative of sales in a certain area, amount of sales, and then let's say in a neighborhood doesn't have anybody that's sold in the neighborhood, it defaults back to somebody nearby.
Gotcha.
So it's based off the verified sales data.
I gotcha.
There are about 6 different categories that we're working through with the different recommendations and the different picks and weightings and scales that we're using. And the number one thing that it is designed to be is also fair. So I'm making sure that the AI doesn't automatically kick someone to the top every time, right? So now if someone sells a bunch in a certain neighborhood, currently on our site, we have 3 and then 3 more recommendations. You will actually see somebody that sells a lot in the neighborhood will default to the bottom 3 recommendations a lot because they do sell a ton there, but they're not always going to be in the top 3 because I don't feel like that is fair to just constantly pump that person in the top, but they're still going to sit on the platform in the bottom 3, and they will also be rotated fairly into the top 3 as well.
Yeah, it is interesting because I see it all the time on social media where I just saw a story the other day where someone just sold their house on ChatGPT and they didn't need a real estate agent. And like, of course, it's like, you could always do sell. Like, they already have firms. You pay them $100. They list your house on MLS, and then really what's funny though is someone on the lending side is that when someone does that, I have to do more work, and then the listing agent has to, or the buyer side has to do more work.
Correct.
To make up for the fact that this guy doesn't want to pay a real estate agent.
Right.
And it's like, you can already do all of that. Like, ChatGPT hasn't actually revolutionized anything. And it's like, it actually, people don't realize it makes it worse for the other people on the transaction. And I think that's what people need to realize is that, like, we're still not there.
Well,
like,
ChatGPT will recommend unnecessary items. The other thing is that people don't understand is that AI gets dumber over time as you use it. So, like, if someone is using AI and they've been using AI for a year and they've never cached it back to start over, a lot of times it could get dumber and dumber and dumber.
Because of, I mean, not, you know, it'd be kind of funny because the person using it.
It's not that, I don't know why. Statistically, it's just what happens. Even when we're developing our site, we have to actually remind AI to refresh it and go back to, and then you have to back check everything. So,
well, I would also, they're also constantly updating it. So I guess if you're using an older, it might not necessarily update
older models. I have no idea that goes over my head. But you start looking it up, and you hear guys in the software world, they all tell you that AI essentially gets dumber unless you refresh it. So.
What's funny is the best analogy I saw was I was listening to a podcast, and the guy that was on there was he's a writer in Hollywood. And they said, you worry that, these people are going to, you're not going to be needed anymore because you can already write all these scripts. And he said, well, what's funny is that the way AI works now is you pump in, every television script that's ever been written.
Right.
And then AI basically is reading all of those and then will create sort of like a medium script. And he's like, 90% of those scripts are garbage.
Right.
And so the problem that we have is that if someone just put into AI like Godfather, like the greatest movies of all time, right? Like Gone with the Wind, like all these movies, then maybe it would write a good script. But if it's reading all the scripts, most of the scripts are bad.
Exactly.
And so it's going to create a bad script because it doesn't realize those scripts are bad.
Correct. So that's the problem. And that's part of it caching to be dumber and dumber, right? Yeah. So you have to be careful if you're going to try to buy a home with ChatGPT. You start asking it the right questions and you want it to lean in a certain direction, it can give you bad information. Ryan Serhant, I just saw this video the other day. He goes, I just about to lose a deal in Manhattan. I think it was like a $50 million project. Yeah. Now, these are how the fishtails work. It was probably 30, now it's 50, me telling the story. But the buyer of the property went on ChatGPT, let's say, and said, am I overpaying for the property? And of course it said yes. Yeah, well, the seller did the same thing. Am I underselling the property? And it said, of course you are, and here's why. So as they got closer to a deal, they got further away at the last minute.
Oh my gosh.
Now, if ChatGPT or these AI companies if they were extremely intelligent all the time, in theory they would have both given the proper answer. They didn't. So those are things you have to worry about when you're out doing a transaction. And it's because the reliable data isn't always the reliable data. It does its best to find it, but it's not always reliable. And that's what Picket's trying to do, is make sure that the data that we are open sourcing out is reliable and factual data for AI to find. So the consumer will always be in contact with an agent that is actually the right agent for them, at least sells in that area. And we did the best job of matching up based off their personalities and what they were looking for.
Yeah, I did. The one thing that ChatGPT or just all AI is really bad at is quotes. It's amazing because they'll be like, "Yeah, this guy said that," and you're like, "You never said that." It still hasn't gotten very good because it wants to answer you in the affirmative.
It wants to be your friend.
Yeah, and you're like, "Yeah, that guy definitely said that." Here's a quote. It's like completely wrong. And so, I mean, I also saw a horrifying thing as bad, they're going to start doing legal contracts. I said, oh my God, that.
Well, then somebody sued them for being an attorney.
Well, there was a guy who actually was an attorney who used ChatGPT to write a brief. Yep. And it ended up citing court cases that didn't exist because it'll just pull stuff to whatever you say to do. It will do it even if it's wrong because you asked for it. And so it was citing cases that didn't actually exist, and the guy almost got disbarred for it.
Yeah, well, and that's where it's point. It's not maybe saying it's getting dumber isn't the right thing. It's basically doing what you want it to do.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what you ask it. It's going to say yes.
If you're not a professional in the real estate industry and you don't know everything about real estate, it's going to get dumber towards the end.
Yeah, I mean, so that's why I think it's sort of, I mean, to your point, it's AI has a tool, but you got to also have that human element, as you're pointing out, making sure that what you are using is correct.
Well, you got these guys online, Open Door, they're a public company. They're not as keen, at least back in September, October, on real estate agents. They believe they're going to take over everything.
I saw that.
But, you know, at the end of the day, it's the Uber drivers of the world. A lot of them were cab drivers.
Yeah.
Right? It's just now they're driving Uber.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the real estate industry. When people tell you Uber drivers, you know, look what Uber did to the taxi cab industry. You say that's a perfect example. The taxi cab drivers, which real estate agents call that today, eventually become Uber drivers.
Yeah.
And that's the way to look at how AI is going to shift real estate. What is the new taxi cab of the real estate industry going to be? Still drivers, still people doing stuff. They're driving more people because they can get in touch with them quicker. And the ones that work hard are making a ton of money still. In fact, there are a lot of Uber drivers making a hell of a lot more money now than they did when they were cab drivers.
Well, and then, of course, also it took out one of the other big equations, which was government.
Right.
Which was you have the New York medallions that back in the day were selling for $1 million are now going for like $100,000.
Yeah, the gatekeepers.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
They're
so
out.
it took that out. And so that was a cost
Correct.
that is no longer there.
Which, I'm a realtor, but
Yeah.
I mean, that may have started to happen a year and a half ago in that industry.
I think what's interesting about the AI is that one of the biggest problems they're facing right now from a logistical standpoint for companies is truck drivers.
Right.
Where 15 years ago, we told everyone that in 15 years, there were going to be no truck drivers because we were going to create the self-driving cars. And we're not there, and there's no truck drivers because no one went to school to become a truck driver. And now they're like paying out crazy money because we essentially told everyone that job's not going to exist.
Correct.
And we were way wrong. And so now all of a sudden truck driving has become a very lucrative business because there's no one there doing it. And so I feel like everyone right now that's saying the same thing about there's not going to be any real estate agents in 10 years. It's going to be the same thing.
Well, the speed at which things can be developed, it's fantastic. But the adoption process, you're still dealing with humans. I mean, I've developed this technology. The thought came in August of last year, really. Like I knew there was something broken, but the development process has not been very long. That's the easy part nowadays.
Yeah.
You still have to get it out to market. If I develop something in 4 months, it still might take 2 years for it to be accepted. So now instead of it taking a year to develop this, I've saved 8 months of time. Still going to take the time to get the real estate agent and the builders and everybody on board to do it. So AI is just helping you create something. If you don't know how to sell it, you've got nothing. You've got something that you've created that's pretty, and that's it.
Well, there's a great monologue in Landman. I don't know if you've seen the show.
I have not, but my dad loves it.
It's great. But there's a great thing where Billy Bob Thornton's talking about the biggest problem that we would have. Like he's like, if tomorrow, all the oil dried up and we all, or all of a sudden we could do, alternative technology. He's like, we have an infrastructure that is basically built for gas. And we have gas stations. We could not build an infrastructure fast enough to have everyone go electric by tomorrow.
No, you can't.
It would take us 20 years.
I would say if they talk about all these different industries, what should you go in? Sales.
Yeah.
That's going to be the industry because you're going to have a bunch of product that people are going to have to sell.
Yeah. I mean, that's time immemorial, right? I mean, like it's always, it no matter what the business is, it's always someone needs to sell whatever it is to sell.
And then the question is, what is the cost of AI going to be, right?
Yeah.
If so, like my company, they're called AI native, right? Where for my scale, the reason why I can offer it for free is I don't need as many employees. It's currently 2 of us right now. I have a software expert who has the guru of getting goods sold online through Amazon and all these different stores online and Google and being the top search. Maybe when we expand in 2 years, we'll have 6 to 10. In that same exact industry, the pricing would be more, right? For the services that we would end up offering, we'd probably have 100. So if you're trying to develop an AI native company and be greedy, it's also not going to work.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the other problem is you can't have both. But the big question is, what is AI going to cost in 2 years from now? Right? If Claude AI is $200 a month, is it going to be $5,000?
Yeah.
There's reason to believe out there's a lot of people using it that is using it at a $5,000 a month cost to Claude, and they're only charging $200. So that's
Plus
going to
you
be
got the whole energy grid aspect where what's going to happen there? Are they going to have to create their own, I know there's a big talk about them
off grid,
having to create their own kind of nuclear reactors to keep these AI bots running,
and the cost
they're
going
to pass that on to us.
Well, so like a nuclear reactor, for example, it's going to be 130 a megawatt.
Yeah.
Versus the going rates right now is what, 40?
Yeah.
So like No, wait, the general public's not paying for $130 a megawatt right now. So, like, you have this huge distance between what today's rate is and what tomorrow is going to be.
Well, yeah, I mean, I remember one time there was this fascinating piece in the Atlantic about how essentially millennials, we'd spent most of our life, because when, after the crash of '08,
right.
Interest rates fell, and basically there was free money out there. And so all these companies basically had created these products that weren't actually making any money, and they were just, building customer bases, and then they were getting paid by private equity and everyone else. But they weren't profitable.
Correct.
And so basically Wall Street and private equity was subsidizing millennials' life for the first 10 years for most of our lives. And then all of a sudden, when we had to pay like DoorDash and everything, had to actually make money, the prices skyrocketed.
Yeah, because DoorDash is like $50, so it costs $30 at your house.
And it's like now we're in that phase with AI where we're actually probably not paying the full cost of AI because it's being subsidized
100%. Yeah, 100%. The cost of what it's going to be is going to go up, right? But it's going to come out in the wash. If I have 10 employees and it should be 100, maybe the medium's the 40 equivalent, right? It's going to come out to something like that in the wash. So you have to be careful when you're, developing company. Right now, the free aspect is great, right? That's consumer acquisition, right? And at the end of the day, without consumers, you have nothing. So get them into the ecosystem. The upload buy, that will always be free. There'll never be an expense to that. It would be stupid for any company to charge for that. What we can offer them from there, where we create the value, would be on the back end. And if they want it, they're going to buy it. And if they trust us, they're going to buy it. And that's what you have to create. You have to create something that people trust. And if you want to look at my company in one perspective, if it confuses you and you're struggling to figure out what I am, think of me as the LinkedIn of real estate. That's what I'm developing. I'm creating a network for agents to be part of an ecosystem. Eventually, they'll be able to send referrals. They'll be able to search what firm they're at, scrape their bios, and figure out, I'm going to send it to that person. That's what we're going to be. And it's just going to take time to do. It's going to take a lot of acquisition. It's going to take a lot of work. Yeah. And like I said, hopefully within a very short period of time, my name's off of the list because I'm going to be doing this full time.
Before we go, I did want to ask, I like to ask everyone this question. What do you see happening with real estate? Because, it looked like we were primed for maybe our best spring buying season since like 21. And now we've had some issues with rates and the economy and everything that's going on. But what do you see happening the rest of 26?
I haven't been extremely bullish on real estate for a while. I had a big TikTok following. I was bullish on real estate for a couple years ago. Right now, if you don't have to buy a home, right, consider what your options are. If you are buying a home, stay there for 5+ years. Don't go buy a home to flip it in a year from now.
Yeah, no, those days are gone.
But no, at the end of the day, our rate's going to go back to the 4s. That's going to be a while. Yeah. And it's probably only going to be for rich people. It's going to be ARMs. It's going to be private portfolio loans, right? So I think that we're going to chop. I think if real estate drops 5-10%, I don't think that's necessarily going to implode everything. I think you've got the naysayers that are out there saying, like, real estate's crashing. Like Broadcom dropped 11% in a week.
They've been saying that since 21.
Right. That's a good point. But at the end of the day, if real estate, it's cyclical. It's going to come down at some point. How much is it going to come down? The cost of
Or it could just stagnate for a couple of years.
Well, it's going to chop. That would be chop, right? Yeah. That's what I'm saying, is people are going to pinpoint something dropped 10% over here.
Because we don't have, if you go back, there's really only been 2 crashes in the history of real estate.
Correct.
It was 29 for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
And then it was 2008.
Right.
And in 29, what was it? It was the same thing. It was both bad lending, things grew too fast,
Correct.
Everyone got too lackadaisical with underwriting,
right.
Which caused a 29 crash, and then real estate. Now, of course, real estate was way different back then. You didn't have the mortgages the way you do now. But 08 was 100% just bad underwriting, bad loans. And that does not exist anymore to the point where you can have a 5-10% correction, maybe like in Florida.
It's segmented certain areas, right? And you look at Wilmington's different. You look at luxury real estate, completely different market.
Completely different.
Like, that's not even worth talking about. I don't think that's having any sort of correction or recession anytime soon.
That's mostly cash too. Because
it's a different
not impacted by anything else.
You look at the middle sector. That's probably the most hardest hit. In your starter family homes, that they're going to bounce around a little bit, but you're six in Wilmington per se. You're 600 to $1 million has been the hardest of the categories, and then you get into lower price points, right? If something needs a lot of work, then people don't have the money to do it, or even in the luxury space, if your house needs a lot of work, those are not selling as quickly as something that's beautiful and finished. But that's always been the case. It's just if it's sold in 7 days, now it's selling in 40. Like it just takes longer to sell. But I don't see anything Wilmington being of an issue.
No, I mean, I still see if a home is priced correctly,
it sells.
And you're right to the point where it doesn't need a ton of work.
Right.
You're getting multiple offers still.
Correct.
And so, I mean, we're still, even though migration has slowed, we are still, we're still a desirable place. People want to live here.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So here, I mean, like I said, prices will chop. I think we just see a couple years of not a whole lot. And, you're going to have inventory sit for a while. Agents are going to lose listings. They're going to transfer hands. You have to be able to stomach this. It's going to be hard for agents. Mortgage brokers went through it a couple years ago.
If you look at mortgage demand's still down. I mean, it's to your point. We've seen people. There's already been sort of a culling where you've already seen people get out of the business. And I think it's just going to continue. Right. Sort of in that.
I think in the top agents, you're going to see a lot of not house of cards, but you're going to see a lot of cards changing hands. Right. I lose one listing, I pick up another one over here, and then a buddy of mine that I know picks one up over here, and it's going to be an interesting couple years in real estate. Things are going to still sell through. Like we said, the top agents are always going to stay on top unless they decide to start a company. But at the end of the day, I just see more changing hands of listings and things taking longer to sell, things still selling through, not really dropping much, just taking longer for the product to move.
Well, Marshall, I appreciate you taking the time. And I also appreciate you working with me when I got crazy sick. We were supposed to do this like 3 weeks ago. I lost my voice, and it's kind of hard to do a podcast if you don't have a voice.
I'd say it worked out great because I had to get everything on paper.
That's true.
That's true. If you had seen what I had 3 weeks ago, it was like that big. And I condensed it to here to expand to there.
Well, we'll follow up and see how the app's going. Yeah. And, you can, like I said, 6-7 months, we'll get you back on, and you can tell us how things are going, what worked, what didn't, Like you said, you mentioned failure sometimes is part of the process.
People are scared to fail. Like, if you're scared to fail, you're never going to succeed.
Yeah, that's true.
That doesn't bother me. Yeah. Fail, figure out what you did wrong, and go do something else.
That's true.
And build from that and do something. So that's part of it.
Yeah.
Somebody say they hadn't failed 100 times in a year's lying to you.
What was it? Is it Thomas Edison who has the great quote where they asked him about how he failed and make a light bulb, and he says, "I didn't fail. I just figured out like 15,000 ways not to make a light bulb."
Right. and then the other, what was it, Ben Hogan? If you work hard, you're obviously going to fail a lot. But he said, the harder I work, the luckier I get. Yeah. It's either him or Sam Snead.
That's
but
true.
That's the way that I look at it. Work hard. You shank some a couple times, just throw another ball down, hit on the green, and try to make bogey. But like at the end of the day, you're gonna have those moments. It's how you react to it and how you work through it and how you get to the next hole in golf, right? That's how you're gonna end up being successful.
That's why you like when it's match play.
Yeah.
If you blow up hole, you just go to the next one and you're fine.
That's like a startup. Well, that's the funny thing about startups, like match play. That's the best thing. You screw it up, just like, all right, we're scrapping that, going to something else.
All right, well, Marshall, once again, thanks for being here, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.